But you want to pretend still that Alex Jones tells the lies of consequence? He does not.
Oh, he absolutely does. That's how did you get there? Yeah. Just because he's not Henry Kissinger, just because he's not George Bush, just because he's not Dick Cheney, doesn't mean that he does not do damage with the lies that he tells. Absolutely not. That doesn't absolve him of a horrifying career. That doesn't absolve him of the damage that happened to the Sandy Hook parents, the harassment they faced. One of them killed themselves. Like, holy Alex Jones must pay $45.2 million to Sandy Hook parents, says the Jimmy Dore Show. I'm just curious what his take is on this. I'm sure it's going to be enlightening. Lord Fritteuse, thank you for the tier 1.
Guess what happened? Alex Jones ordered to pay $45.2 million more in punitive damages to Sandy Hook parents. Now, this caused a lot of trouble for me over at the Young Turks when I was there. I got into a big shouting match with my good friend Steve O, who was the COO of the Young Turks at the time, and my co-host on Aggressive Progressives. And they were all for, everybody at the Young Turks were all for censorship because Alex Jones was doing mean things to the parents from Sandy Hook. While I sympathized with the parents from Sandy Hook, I also realized there was a principle involved here, and it's called free speech. Now, we have a system.
Clean up your room.
Man, America. It's tough for me to talk as a Canadian about America sometimes because the adherence to free speech and the free speech absolutists is pretty wild. Pretty wild. Like, defending Alex Jones's right to be able to broadcast to hundreds of thousands of people that the parents of children who were murdered are liars, that they're crisis actors, that their kids aren't dead, and then the harassment that those parents received led to one of the parents killing themselves. Like that, but the right to do that, the fundamental principled right to do that. Can you not have both, America? Can you not have, okay, you're free to be the Alex Jones and you're free to do things that eventually lead to violence, and at the same time, the parents that have suffered because of that violence are allowed to sue you in civil court? Because that's kind of the situation I think you have right now, right? I mean, there are limits to free speech. This is the wild thing. Every single time someone's like, I want unadulterated free speech. Okay, so do you want child porn? Do you think child porn should be allowed to be sold or exist on the internet? Do you think people should be, because you don't want to limit their free speech? And no, not that. That's gross and horrible. I don't want that. Okay. Do you want people to be able to punch you in the face and express themselves in that way? Well, no, that's assault. Oh, okay. So there's a line then. We're just trying to discover where it is. I mean, for someone, maybe for you want to be able to say the N-word all the time, or you want to be able to call black people the N-word. Maybe that's it. That's where your free speech absolutum starts. Because these are just words at the end of the day. Words aren't violence. It's very different, you know. Why do people always say that?
In this country that has worked for a long time. And the system is that if you libel someone or you slander someone, or you threaten that, or if you break a free speech law, you get sued.
So this is good.
That's the system we've adopted because we respect free speech. Because we came from places with tyrannical rulers that didn't give us free speech. So we know the importance of it. And so now we have this, and this is the deterrent. And this is the remedy. Not nameless, faceless bureaucrats from Silicon Valley deciding who gets free speech in the public square. That's not how we're supposed to do it. That's how.
Yeah, but you do realize you don't have any control over that. Like, it's very weird for you to give them this kind of power constantly by yelling when something happens that you don't like. Like when someone gets censored on Twitter and you're like, oh, this is egregious. The free speech is gone. How could they take down Alex Jones after he literally was saying that the Sandy Hook parents were liars? How could they do that? You're giving them power because you're being like, okay, well, this thing I don't like, and then this thing I do like. But at the end of the day, they get to make the decisions. You're never talking about, should we break up these massive tech monopolies because they've grown to such a size where there's basically just 4 or 5 companies that control all the websites we look at, that should be the angle you come at this from. And in the interim, because you have zero control, none of us do. I don't have any control. I could be banned tomorrow. You don't have any control. You could be banned tomorrow. We'll never know. As long as that's the way the game is played, can you not celebrate? Because it's not a free speech forum. These are corporations. If you treat them like a free speech forum, then they are winning. You're giving them that power. So in the interim, we're all just at the whims of a corporate dictatorship. All of us. We're all just swirling around, wondering what's going to happen today, what's going to happen tomorrow, because none of us have any control. That's it. We don't need tech monopolies. That should be what we go after. Not, oh, well, this was a bad decision, free speech. This was a good decision, free speech. This was a bad decision, free speech. This was a good decision, free speech. Like, this is just going to go on and on forever.
We're doing it now, and it started with him, and now everybody gets. Comedians get censored. Award-winning doctors get censored. Doctors with 7, 8 patents on vaccines get censored. The leading doctors in their field, the most published person in their field, gets censored on you.
You're talking about comedians getting censored. Are you talking about comedians like on Twitter or YouTube getting canceled, or is this like a Dave Chappelle thing? Is this a Ricky Gervais thing? You got to be a little bit more specific to be totally honest. But yeah, again, none of us have any control. None of us have any power in this. There is no public forum. These are internet forums that we've allowed ourselves to just accept, right?
That's what's happening. It went from Alex Jones to the leading people in science and medicine are now being censored. At the behest of who? For you? No. At the behest of the moneyed interest. Big Pharma, Big Tech, the military-industrial complex, and Wall Street. That's who's doing the censoring. And they're doing it through the CIA. They're doing it through social media. They're doing it through FBI. They're doing.
It's so rich that he's just going on this rant right now, which is utterly and patently absurd, with the picture of Alex Jones behind him, because he sounds a lot like Alex Jones. Like, if I was to rewind this, let's do this little part here.
8 patents on vaccines get censored. The leading doctors in their field, the most published person in their field, gets censored on you. That's what's happening. It went from Alex Jones to the leading people in science and medicine are now being censored. At the behest of who? For you? No. At the behest of the moneyed interest. Big Pharma, Big Tech, the military-industrial complex, and Wall Street. That's who's doing the censoring. And they're doing it through the CIA. They're doing it through social media. They're doing it through FBI. They're doing it through cutout. They're doing it in many ways. One of the ways...
By the way, I don't know why Jimmy Dore has never tried to identify the problems inherent to capitalism or anything like that. Maybe because he just doesn't want to read. It would take too much time. But yes, we have this massive concentration of monopolies. These massive monopolies want to remain as profitable as possible. So Twitter, Facebook, you name it, they're going to follow policies that are going to make them the most money. They're going to generate AI that creates the most amount of clicks, that keeps the most amount of people on their platforms. That's just what they're going to do because it's all under a capitalist system. They have a profit incentive to be able to, and they actually have a fiduciary responsibility to their shareholders to make and generate as much money as possible. That's how the whole system works. So when there's a public health crisis, and that public health crisis has a world of random conspiracy theories and very, very asinine children spreading shit about fucking horse paste, then yes, corporations are going to follow suit. Again, they're going to start being like, well, yeah, it's pretty dangerous for all these people to be spreading these horse paste rumors and lies. It's pretty dangerous for people to be suggesting that things that do not cure COVID could cure COVID. I mean, it could be kind of a health crisis if just thousands upon thousands of people start drinking bleach. It's just like a very bad thing for that to happen. So we're probably going to follow suit with the CDC guidelines on this one. We're probably going to follow suit again. And if you have a problem with this, Jimmy, again, if you want to live in a world where people are allowed to spread dangerous medical misinformation everywhere all the time because freedom, you know, if that's the world that you need to live in, well, then again, you'd have to join on the side of fighting these massive tech monopolies that get to make these decisions where we don't.
Was all the social media companies colluded together in a conspiracy to take Alex Jones and get rid of him out of the town square. And they did it. They did it. And they coordinated it.
What are you talking about? Citation? Anything? This was a coordinated attack by the CIA and the FBI to get him removed from Twitter. Twitter's a fucking company. He was a liability on their program. So they were like, you know what? We don't want to have to deal with this anymore. We're done with the liability. Yeah, the guy who's spreading 9/11 truth or conspiracies, saying the Sandy Hook thing was all a hoax, that kind of shit. Yeah, I delete. It's safer for our bottom line if we don't have an Alex Jones on there.
And we've already known that the government and social media have been colluding about who to take down and what videos to take down, stuff like that. We know this.
How do we know
again, this is the remedy in our country is this. The remedy.
I gotta stipulate, especially hearing from Second Thought yesterday, who was explaining how he has been visited by the FBI because he has videos on topics such as the CIA is a terrorist organization. There's an example with evidence that you can point towards someone being investigated by a government agency because his messaging was subversive. That you have evidence proof. That's all you need. He requested a Freedom of Information Act to get information on him about what they had, and all they gave him was a redacted version of that interview that he was done with the government agents. But there's you could use that. There's a real world example. This is all just based on conspiracy nonsense. If you're we know this, we know this happened, we know. I was like, what do we know? Can you explain to me why the FBI, the CIA collaborated together to be able to take Alex Jones off of Twitter? I mean, I didn't know that, but if I was to just do a read on this, it definitely looks like it was just a matter of them and their bottom line.
In our country is not censorship. We already have a law enforcement agency in the United States, the U.S. Attorney General, the Department of Justice, and each state has their own justice system. So if somebody's breaking a law with their free speech, there's already laws in place to deal with that. I don't need Mark Zuckerberg to tell me who gets to talk.
But that's the game. Are you 5? That's how private corporations work. Again, if you play this weird team sports thing where it's this is free speech bad, this is free speech good, you're giving Mark Zuckerberg power. He's cucking you, Jimmy. Mark Zuckerberg is cucking you right now.
Already justice departments in every state. And if he's breaking a law, they'll take care of it. But if he isn't, this is how we take care of it. This is how you take care of it. Not censorship, the Young Turks. And everybody else, by the way. I just bring up the...
If Alex Jones was yelling this shit in the theater, are they allowed to throw him out? What about any business? What if you own a small convenience store and in walks Alex Jones and he walks inside there and he starts telling you that your children aren't real or something else really weird, or that he's going to murder your mother, and starts screaming it? Do you have a right to eject him from the store? Are you allowed to say please leave? Are you allowed to kick him out?
The Young Turks, Cenk Uygur, Anna Kasperi, and Steve-O, all those people over there, they were all for censorship. Every one of them. I was the only one.
They should change your name to just the Turks.
The middle age.
Wow, that one's slayed. So he's finally in the studio. Normally Kurt Metzger appears via Skype or something, but he's here. He's finally here. He's arrived.
McCarthyites is what they're called now. So the rest of the story is Friday, the decision comes after the same jury had already awarded $4 million in compensatory damage. So they're wrecking this guy financially. So that's the deterrent. It's always been. Culminating in the final phase of the defamation case brought...
The weird thing about Jimmy is that his argument here is that, okay, first off, to give him credit, it's a good thing that Alex Jones was sued into oblivion by these parents because what he was saying was very dangerous and damaging. It was a bad thing for Alex Jones to have done that. He shouldn't have done that, and this is the deterrent. But I fundamentally believe, in my heart of hearts, that a private company and corporation should not have kicked him off their platform and stopped him from saying it out loud, because that one's free speech. Again, a private corporation kicking someone off their platform is free speech. Did you realize how ridiculous that sounds?
First brought in 2018 over Jones.
Because in the interim, because none of us do have control, yes, I do celebrate the victories. I don't think it's a loss for free speech if white supremacists suddenly aren't allowed on Twitter and can't spread conspiracy theories about like being Holocaust deniers or something like that. Yeah, I'm like, okay, good, great. I don't think anything has changed. I don't think like what defines and or is free speech hasn't changed at all. But yes, I would agree with the Young Turks there. If a person is actively harming other human beings, if he's actively spreading lies about them, their dead kids, and getting them unwarranted harassment, yes, if he's no longer allowed to do that in the interim in a system that I have no control of, great. Great. It's nice that the Sandy Hook parents were no longer facing as much harassment once he was told to retract all that kind of stuff, once he didn't have as big of a megaphone.
Just repeated false claims that the deadliest elementary school shooting in U.S. history was a hoax.
And again, if like he won't do this, but I'm just saying theoretically, if Jimmy Dore opened up his own social media platform, I don't know, Doreboard or something like that. So if you went on Doreboard and he was like, I believe fundamentally in free speech, you can do anything you want, anything, go nuts. How fast would it fill up with Nazis and pedophiles? How fast? Because they're not allowed in regular social media. So of course, when there's a free speech, everything goes absolutist thing, yeah, it starts to flood with it. It's like, oh, wow, weird how that keeps happening. Odd that, you know, weird. But yeah, I guess, okay, all right, fine. I don't believe in complete free speech. I'm not down with the child pornography. So we're going to ban child porn. And it's like, okay, you set the standard. And also all these people who keep saying that the Holocaust never happened, we're going to ban them as well, because yikes. So, okay, so we've set some rules. And then it's like, okay, well, you realize now you're setting standards for what you think should be acceptable speech in a public forum that you yourself dictate. This is your forum. It's not even a public forum. It's the Dore Forum, you know? Oh, that was a better name. The Dore Forum.
It remains to be seen how much of the punitive damages the parents will ultimately receive.
I know. I love telling that story with Parler. How Parler was like, we're free speech absolutists, until people responded to posts they don't like with pictures of their own shit, and it became such a big thing on the platform that they had to make a rule where you're no longer allowed to post your own feces. The Durham. There, we got it. The Durham. There you have it. There's Jimmy. There's a free one. If you want to start the Durham, there you have it.
As Texas laws cap such awards per plaintiff at twice the compensatory award plus $750,000. That's according to this guy who knows about this stuff. The calculation means the plaintiffs could see less than a quarter of the total award determined by the jury. So what's a quarter of $45 million? It's around what? To 10% would be 4, 8. It's around $12 million. Something like that. Somewhere around there.
Ruggin, thank you for the prime. Appreciate you.
Plus $750 for each one of them. So
I feel like I could let by.
Legal Eagle makes his bets on what he's about to get charged with. Trump is going to be charged with, my bingo card had 793 and 2071, but not 5019. 793, gathering, transmitting, or losing defense information. 271 is concealment, removal, and mutilation generally. 5019, destruction, alteration, falsification of records in federal investigations and bankruptcy. In relation to, oh, Trump. Of course. Those are crimes named to the warrant. Gotcha.
Bygones be bygones for $12 million.
For $12 million?
I'm speaking for me.
Punitive damages are meant to sting, Tobias said, so juries tend to award sums proportionate to the defendant's finances, despite many states contradictorily having caps on such awards, such as Texas. Now, Alex Jones, I've seen reports he's worth $140 million. I've seen those reports.
Really?
I've seen those reports. But I can't verify it because he wouldn't produce any of his documents in court.
Oh.
The theory is that the damages are supposed to be significant enough to deter. How do we deter? This is how we deter it. By getting punitive damages in court. And that's how you deter someone like Alex Jones, not by censoring, taking away his First Amendment rights. That's not how you fix this problem. This is how you fix it. Jurors on Friday heard additional testimony about Jones's finances before they began deliberations on what sum would both.
I agree. Like, yes, that's what word mean. These are words. You're saying words. United States free speech exemptions. In the United States, some categories of speech are not protected by the First Amendment. According to the Supreme Court of the United States, the U.S. Constitution protects free speech while allowing limitations on certain categories. Categories of speech that are given lesser or no protection by the First Amendment and therefore may be restricted include obscenity, fraud, child pornography, speech integral to illegal conduct, speech that incites imminent lawless action, speech that violates intellectual property law, true threats, commercial speech such as advertising. Defamation that causes harm to reputation is a tort and also an exception of free speech. Along with communicative restrictions, less protection is afforded to uninhibited speech when the government acts as a subsidizer or speaker, is an employer, controls education, or regulates the mail, airwaves, legal bar, military prisons, and or immigration. So there are exceptions. Weird.
Punish Jones for his falsehoods and deter him from making them again. Do you see deter? It's there. It's in both paragraphs. That's how we deter that kind of thing in the United States, not censorship.
Well, Jimmy, the problem with that is, what if like the Washington Post or CNN needs to defame someone? Whether they're going to get sued and have to pay?
And so they have these things.
That's gotta be so weird, making a joke that bombs on the Jimmy Dore show with no audience, and so you gotta laugh for yourself. You need a button. You need a, I think I have a laugh button, do I? Light applause, medium applause, heavy applause. Yeah, you need this one.
Called anti-SLAPP laws.
Yeah, right.
So if you try to sue Alex Jones and lose, you'd be in big trouble. If you try to sue someone you say is defaming you, who's a journalist, and you lose, you're in big trouble because they have a thing called anti-SLAPP laws. I don't know what SLAPP stands for, but it means that it's there to protect journalists.
Yeah, right.
So they're not afraid to tell the truth about powerful people. They're not afraid of a lawsuit. That's what that. So it was revealed that Jones's legal team inadvertently sent the contents of his cell phone to. I just threw this in there. So that's the whole story. So to me, this is
Understanding anti-SLAPP laws. What is anti-SLAPP? Short for strategic lawsuits against public participation. SLAPP have become an all too common tool for intimidating and silencing criticism through expensive, baseless legal proceedings. Anti-SLAPP laws are meant to provide a remedy to the SLAPP suits. Anti-SLAPP laws are intended to prevent people from using courts and potential threats of a lawsuit to intimidate people who are exercising their First Amendment rights. In terms of reporting, news and organizations and individual journalists can use anti-SLAPP statutes to protect themselves from the financial threat of a groundless defamation case brought by a subject of an enterprise or investigative story. Yeah, took 5 seconds to do.
This is the important part of the story. This is our system, not censorship. Because it starts with Alex Jones and it ends with the leading scientists in their field who are telling the truth. And
who are these scientists? Who is the leading scientist in their field that has been censored on social media? I'd really like to know who he's talking about. Someone who is just like, oh, the broad consensus of the scientific community is wrong. Me, the leading scientist, says so.
Outing the establishment's lies. That it starts here, and then it ends with censoring Dr. Robert Malone, one of the guys who invented the mRNA vaccine technology.
Oh, Robert Malone, of course. Okay. All right. Yeah, that explains it. That explains everything. We did a deep dive into Robert Malone, by the way. And yes, the broad consensus of the scientific community is kind of aghast that this man would take direct and complete credit for mRNA vaccines and is also a complete and utter quack. Like the stuff that he spreads, it was astonishing that he went on Joe Rogan's show and was platformed for like 2 hours. And I guess that one wasn't a massive story, I guess, you know, didn't get censored there.
It starts here, it ends there. Starts here, ends with Dr. Robert McCullough, who's the most published guy in his field of cardiology. It starts here, that's where it ends. So, and they're never censoring to save you. Believe me, this is about the establishment needing control of the media and the narrative. And just so you know, this was funny to me. It was revealed that Jones's legal team inadvertently sent the contents of his cell phone to the lawyer representing the parents. Oops. The apparent blunder led the plaintiff's attorney, Mark Bankston, to accuse Jones of lying under oath when he testified that he did not have any text messages related to the Sandy Hook massacre.
Joe Rogan interviews Peter McCullough contains multiple false and unsubstantiated claims about the COVID-19 pandemic and vaccines. The claim, the pandemic was planned. The COVID-19 vaccines are experimental. Previously infected people have permanent immunity. VAERS shows vaccine kills thousands of people. Vaccine-induced spike protein causes damage. By Peter McCullough on the Joe Rogan Experience. The COVID-19 vaccines aren't experimental. Their safety and efficacy were demonstrated in clinical trials that involved tens of thousands of people. Previously infected people don't have permanent immunity, given that reinfections can and have occurred. No evidence was presented for the assertions that the pandemic was planned, or that scientists and or public health authorities are conspiring to prevent people from getting early treatment. There's also no evidence for the claim that the spike protein generated by the mRNA vaccines is dangerous. That's like, this is the person that he's defending as the top leading scientist in his field, the number one. he thinks COVID-19 was planned by who? The Chinese? Was that part of their plan? Was their like economy suffering immensely from these massive shutdowns, entire cities having to go on lockdown? Was that part of the plan? Or is it just the long game, I guess? Is it just like, well, by doing this in the future, who knows? Maybe we'll be able to become the world's superpower if we just get the entire world sick, including ourselves. But, you know, it's just part of the plan. Long term, right?
And then the judge yelled at him for lying. And
Wow.
then he got $45 million lawsuit.
Great job, team.
All right. We did it.
What is more mortifying than sending the wrong text to the wrong person?
Sending your whole phone.
What is he, Hunter Biden over here?
No
What?
kidding. Did he hire Hunter Biden to represent him? Come on, Alex. You got the money.
This is the first of
Oh God. Oh God. Woo. What? Sorry. Didn't know that he was going to pop up here. Tinkle. What you doing? What you doing, Tinkle? All right, hold on. We got to get our Tinkle cover. There we go. Ooh, god damn. Didn't know he was about to make a random appearance. I'm doing my part. Okay, I've blocked said streamer. It's a wild tinker. I just heard that in the background. I was like, that sounds like piss. Oh god, he's here.
a series of 3 lawsuits that have been filed against him from Sandy Hook parents. So there's 2 more big ones coming down the line. But Jimmy, I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on this. I agree with everything you said, but this case also shows the partisan nature.
Land censorship is not the answer. It's true. God damn it. I'm 1984 and in real time. Oh, I'm proving Jimmy right.
I think, of our judicial system, and that people who lie about Assange or COVID or wars, that they're never, ever, ever going to be held accountable for the punitive damages that they caused, the millions of lives that they wrecked or just destroyed. Yet people like Alex Jones or yourself, will be chief among the targets if you ever are caught lying or fudging the facts once on accident or getting something wrong. They will always go after us rather than the people who are telling the biggest lies of all.
Go after us as in you are associating directly with Alex Jones. Wow, what a play. The truth tellers.
That's a good point. I didn't read. Yeah, Fauci's never going to have to pay for lying about ivermectin, lying about masks.
Oh my god, you gotta take the L on ivermectin at this point, homie. Come on. You cannot, like, there's no shame in taking L's, all right? We all fuck up every now and then. You have to take the fattest L on this one. You gotta drop it. Holy shit.
Lying about herd immunity, lying about gain of function, lying about funding gain of function. He's lied about all of it. And he did it right on camera. And yeah, you're right. That's such a great point. I didn't even think of that, Jackson. Yeah, so again, if you lie at the...
By the way, the deep state, the government, the CIA, the FBI, they didn't go after Alex Jones. The parents did. This was a civil suit. They're the ones who are suing him into oblivion. This is not a coordinated attack. Like, everything doesn't have to be, You can live in a world where every single thing that happens isn't actually because of the elites, the globalists, the deep state, all that kind of shit.
Behest of the establishment, there was never a price to pay. Dick Cheney and George Bush invented a torture program to cover up their lies that led...
Yes. And you are doing that thing where you mix something that happened that has been acknowledged with both testimony, facts, and revelations, and complete and utter nonsense. Conspiracy theories to try and legitimize them. You're doing that technique. Because you can't in one breath be like, ivermectin prevents COVID-19. Ivermectin saves lives. Ivermectin helps you around COVID-19. No, empirically it doesn't. And then also be like, well, MK Ultra happened. COINTELPRO was a real thing. So we know those happened. And so now we know that and combine it with another thing I want to say.
To a war that killed 1 million people, and they're never going to be taken to court. But they're going to make it look like Alex Jones is worse than Dick Cheney, which he's not.
Exactly.
Who is saying that? Who has said Alex Jones is worse than Dick Cheney? Like that seems like a statement you've just made up now.
Alex Jones, much better person than George Bush.
I bet you could ask somebody.
Cool. Is that the bar? Horrifying war criminal? Is it like, hey, he's no George Bush. He's no Pol Pot. I'll tell you that. Alex Jones, he's no Pol Pot. That's for sure. Yeah. If you just want to look at the amount of damage he's done, the raw numbers, he's definitely not. He's no Henry Kissinger. That Alex Jones. I'll tell you that. No Henry Kissinger. He's better than Henry Kissinger. You know? We got to be honest about that. We just got to say it like it is.
That, and they would tell you Dick Cheney's better
I know.
than Alex Jones.
I know. I mean, you just go by a body count. Dick Cheney and George Bush, they got everybody beat.
Right. What is the purpose of this? Fucking 25 carats does not equal a penguin. Like, what are you saying? Like, what the fuck?
You score on torture programs, Alex comes out on top.
So that's such a great point. And you're right. And the people who've lied to us.
And they're not willing to tell you that, you know? They'll lie to your face. They'll tell you that 25 carats equals a penguin, but it's not true. When you stack the carrots up, it looks nothing like a penguin.
And they got caught. They got caught smearing journalists over the COVID narrative. Who got caught? Fauci and Collins, the head of the NIH, and all the media that is at their beck and call. They all got caught. They lied. That's not up for debate whether they lied or not. It's not up for debate whether they smeared other scientists because they didn't want to debate their ideas. That's not up for debate. We have the evidence. That happened. But you want to pretend still that Alex Jones tells the lies of consequence? He does not.
Oh, he absolutely does. That's fucked. How did you get there? Yeah. Just because he's not Henry Kissinger, just because he's not George Bush, just because he's not Dick Cheney, doesn't mean that he does not do damage with the lies that he tells. Absolutely not. That doesn't absolve him of a horrifying career. That doesn't absolve him of the damage that happened to the Sandy Hook parents, the harassment they faced. One of them killed themselves. Like, holy fuck. It's not like, well, again, he's no George Bush. Okay, I agree with you. George Bush is worse than Alex Jones. So is Dick Cheney. So is Donald Rumsfeld. So is the Bush administration. That doesn't make what he does good. It's the definition of whataboutism. I think we have a thing for that.
By the way, Alex Jones does, you know what's funny? How bad the corporate news is? He does much better reporting most of the time.
Well, there it is. There it is. I think the last time we were watching Alex Jones, he was going up and talking about how the Satanists are rising, how Nosferatu is assuming power and controlling soon. Moloch will control the elites and the deep state. You know that he's a raging anti-Semite, homophobe, transphobe. Like, he's just a really horrifyingly bad human being. If you've gotten to a point that you're so deluded with the mainstream media, yes, the mainstream media, the main media outlets will push pro-American imperialism talking points. That is 100% true. So does Alex Jones. He just peppers it in with a whole bunch of other lies, weird shit, and nasty stuff. But he is very pro-American imperialist. What is with Jimmy Dore and aligning with the worst fucking human beings known to fucking America and being like, oh, well, we have similar interests, ultimately. He hates the Democrats. I hate the Democrats. So, align? We're on the same team?
than corporate news does. Yeah, he does crazy shit like Sandy Hook. I have no idea what he got out of that.
What I thought was the dumbest thing about that particular bit was that they were saying that people were actors, that the school's been abandoned for years.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you think if the government...
The answer is money. He got money. He got so much fucking money. He was just fucking printing cash. That's why those documents were really pertinent, to show how much money he was making back then. People were tuning in. There wasn't a lot of people on the mainstream media who were willing to say horrifying conspiracy theories like that. So yeah, he certainly cornered that demographic. There was no one else talking about that. So yeah, lots of viewers, lots of dick pills getting sold, lots of weird ass turmeric, Brain Force Plus, you name it. Fucking got tons of cash.
Was really, you think they wouldn't just kill some kids? Like, you think they would spend money on actors and fake kids? Like,
right.
We have no problem with that here.
Is that what they were saying? They were saying it was...
That was one of the things. I don't know. Now, I didn't really watch Alex Jones, but and he could be getting pinned on him, the things that were going around, you know? But that was one of them I remember, with these are crisis actors.
Yeah.
And no one's even been out of school. I don't know if that's everybody's...
It's funny.
You know, conspiracy about it.
Yeah,
and again, I
silly.
sympathize with the parents that were being harassed because Alex Jones was harassing them and telling people lies about.
I totally sympathize with you. I really disagree with him being deplatformed. Like, I'm sorry, I'll say it to your face. Like, it sucks that he's going on there every single day and that he's saying that you're lying and that your kid isn't dead and then he's a crisis actor and then thousands and thousands of strangers are calling you and sending you death threats because of that. I sympathize with you greatly, but I do believe fundamentally in his right to keep doing that. That's just, I'm sorry. That's what I genuinely believe. It sucks. It sucks. You know, it was a, you know, bad draw. You got a bad hand. I mean, it sucks. Happens to all of us, but fundamentally I do agree with his right to keep doing that.
About them. There's remedies for that. That's one of them. This is it. And if he did it, and if he broke a law, then there's a justice system in every state that they should have then thrown him in jail. But if he didn't break a law, then that's free speech. But if he did something that is across a civil threshold, which this did, then he gets sued. So, and again, the biggest lies are never prosecuted. Joe Biden's lies about Ukraine, Syria, Libya, Iraq, those are never going to be ever going to be prosecuted. Barack Obama's lies about Syria and
you're defending exceptions to free speech right now. That's true in real time in 4K.
And Libya, and they're never going to ever. And Afghanistan, they all lied for 20 years about Afghanistan. Those are the real lies. Again, the biggest.
You know what's wild is no one knows about that. No one knows about the weapons of mass destruction being a hoax. No one knows about the fact that it was an unjustified war. No one knows about the fact that there was hundreds of thousands of civilians slaughtered in there and that America has fucking huge amounts of war crimes on its fucking head for all that shit. No one knows. It's only a handful of small people, you and maybe one or two others who know about these secrets.
Lies. The most consequential misinformation comes from where? The government. And then the second most biggest source of that is the corporate media. Okay.
Hey, did Alex Jones ever like sell a book and then at least write the book?
Yay!
Hey, we're doing live stand-up comedy.
Yay!
Oof, that was bad. That was really shit. Would not do again. In the liberal and conservative sphere, no, they don't. I would disagree with that. You're not going to see mainstream corporate media. I mean, I have the same hate and disdain as mainstream corporate media as Jimmy Dore does. And yes, you're not going to see a complete special coming out being like, hey, by the way, it turns out that the United States decidedly had some bad things. But you will see it in big outlets. Frontline did a special on it. There's been like, you know, numerous other media outlets that have reported on the fact that the weapons of mass destruction was an oopsie. People were talking about that in the fucking presidential debates of the United States. That was a key talking point for Barack Obama when he was running. The fact that I didn't vote for the Iraq war. This is a great thing. Hillary Clinton, my opponent, did, and it turned out they didn't have weapons of mass destruction, and we probably shouldn't have done that. That was one of Obama's like key advantages that he had over his opponents. It's not as if it was a complete and utter like secret at this point, the way he's talking about it.
Do you enjoy the Serfs but prefer not to have to use your eyeballs? Many are saying this. Well, we've got the solution for you. It's the Serf Times in podcast form. Available on most major podcasting networks now. If you enjoy it, please consider leaving a good review and feedback because it really helps the show out, apparently, and it's free, just like the podcast.
To our gods, Xander Corvus and Peyton L. Just, we are prepared to embark on a mighty jihad in your name. To our monarch, Tom Spiker, we are but your humble jester, attempting in vain to get you to laugh. To our valiant knights of the Round Table, Benji Arnie, Tech Tink, Scary Earth Human, Tony, DM Rivera, Resident Scarecrow, Sir Nickus, Mayred, Cheryl Alvarez, Ruby Kelly, Brandon, Words Greenwood. It doesn't matter what I believe, it only matters what I can prove. Hagbird Celine, Matthew Scarborough, Stellar Vision, Ariane McCarthy, Daniel Sutton, Coulter Smith, Jenna Tao, Quiet 185, Anna Loves Riley, Omni, Riley and Anna, Poodlehawk, The Tim Caucus, Multimondi, Trevbot, EXE, Brian Ephraim, Lemmy 101, Anthropophojack, Saren 42, Catherine, Ramon Acosta, Incosin, Agent NDN, Violent Orchard, Political Puppy, La Media Panza, Zach Christensen, Todd Buckingham, and Todd Lajeunesse. We raise our mugs and salute our brave heroes off to another glorious conquest.